Coming up on iOS today, I am wearing the Apple Vision Pro, and we are going to talk about third-party apps for the Apple Vision Pro. Stay tuned.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
This is iOS Today with Rosemary Orchard and Mikah Sargent, episode 690, recorded Tuesday, February 6th, 2024, for Thursday, February 15th, 2024. Apple Vision Pro, third-party apps. Welcome back to iOS Today, the show where we talk all things iOS, tvOS, HomePod OS, watchOS, and even Vision OS. Yes, we talk about all things Apple on this show because our goal is to help you make the most of all of those delicious, wonderful, amazing Apple devices you have. I am one of your hosts, Mikah Vision Pro Sargent.
And I am Rosemary Orchard, sadly without a Vision Pro, but I do have the bonus of talking to Eve from Wally. At least that's kind of what you look like, Mikah. So, I'm hoping you're friendly and that you're going to save the world because that's what you look like right now.
That's my goal, is to save the world, one Vision Pro at a time. No, today I thought it'd be a great opportunity with the Vision Pro in hand to talk about some of the amazing, wonderful, awesome third-party apps that exist on the Vision Pro. And yes, as Rosemary said, the device is not yet available in the UK for purchase, and so Rosemary doesn't have one just yet, but this I thought would be an opportunity for me to kind of show some apps, have Rosemary ask questions if she wants to, kind of talk about what she sees when it comes to what the apps can do, and then we would go from there. The first app that I want to talk about today is a fantastic app for kind of answering a problem that exists on Apple Vision Pro right now. The problem is that YouTube, aka Google, aka Alphabet, decided not to create just yet an app for YouTube on the platform. So typically what you would do is browse via Safari to a YouTube video. You could watch the YouTube video from there. But the wonderful, amazing, awesome developer Christian Seelig, who once made the really great Apollo Reddit client, decided to create an app that would give you a great YouTube experience without needing to have YouTube. That app is called Juno. So I will go ahead and click on the digital crown to launch the app window, my home screen. And then I'm going to kind of scroll through until I find Juno, which I see is over here on the right. I will tap my fingers to select Juno, and it immediately launches a fantastic YouTube search experience. So over here on the right, I've got the home screen. I've got, I think this is like library and playlist. So you log in, trending videos, your history. So the videos that you've seen before, and then your playlists. And here, I'm going to try to find something that is not music because obviously if we're playing music or things like that, it's not going, look, here is a Jerry Rig Everything video. So I will tap on that and we'll see if it starts playing loudly. And if it does, then we can kind of turn it down. But immediately I'm presented with this YouTube video. There we go. We'll mute it there. And I've got down at the bottom my rewind 15 seconds, fast forward 15 seconds, play. I can speed up or slow down the video. I can easily share it. And of course, I've got the option to drag it and make it take up more of the space in the room. So now it's even bigger. I can push it up to the top of the screen. I can bring it over. I can put it over by Kevin. So now Kevin's kind of covered up and I'm watching my YouTube video over there. And yeah, you can see Kevin's hand kind of popping up in the background, and I'll drag this back in front of me. And so now I've got this YouTube video along with the ability to dim the background. I don't know how much that comes through on the camera, but it's kind of nice that I can kind of go into theater mode almost. And of course, I can look at the edges. Here, let me bring this over. I can look at the edges of the window and drag to make that bigger. Suddenly, holy moly cannoli, I've got this huge Vision Pro YouTube video playing over here on the side. And then at any point, I could go ahead and launch Safari, for example, and I can bring this over and I could be browsing through Safari while I'm watching a video just play in the background. So let me close out of that. Again, you saw that you are able to log in to your account if you want to, so that you get your own personalized YouTube feed. And I would say that until YouTube decides to make its own app, this is a great way to browse YouTube on the Apple Vision Pro. And, at some point we may, again, see that change. But for now, I thought it's worth talking about this app. It's essentially kind of a nice little shell for YouTube, and you can see whatever it is that you want without having to use Safari for it. So it kind of creates its own custom little experience here. There's not a whole lot extra to this app. Its point is to just be that YouTube browsing app, and it's available for $4.99 in the App Store. I saw Christian Seelig tweeting or posting about the app the other day, and he said that it has already paid for his Apple Vision Pro. So congrats to Christian Seelig on releasing this app on launch day and being able to recoup the cost of the Apple Vision Pro headset. Up next is, I think this is a super cool app. So Rosemary, I know you're familiar with the app Endel, Endel. And I know a lot of people who kind of exist in this space who really like Endel for listening to kind of soundscapes in the background. Endel had this promise of kind of providing contextual background music. So depending on the time of day, what activities you were doing, what you were after, it would provide a different experience. And the developers behind the app have created a thing called Endel Realms, that will take you into some different kind of situations. So there's forest rays where you find yourself in peaceful woods and play with dappled light. There's mountain sunset where you see a soft evening sun in the epic realm, ocean glow, and these are coming soon. They're not yet out, but the one that is out and is available is called Golden Portal. And this says the realm of gentle natural light, shimmery sunbeams, and calm. So I'm going to go ahead and launch this experience, and I'll choose 5 minutes for this realm. And immediately the background kind of dims around me, and I'm presented with this golden light and also music that plays in the background. In fact, let me see if I can't bring that. Yeah, there we go.
There it is.
And as I move my hands around, you might start to see some little bits of light that, like these that appear right in front of us. And they're kind of moving with the way that my hands are moving. And the way that Endel markets this as well is, say you're in a pretty dark environment, right? And you are not getting a whole lot of sunlight. We know that it is very good for our energy levels and for our overall health, for our eyes, for not only for our body and our skin in particular to absorb sunlight, but also for our eyes to see sunlight. That is why those SAD therapy lamps work, those seasonal depression therapy lamps work. We can stare at light for a period of time, and it can help with making us feel more awake, alert, etc. And that is kind of the overall goal of this app, that you will have these different experiences that kind of bathe you with light, but also just provide kind of a pleasant realm in which to bask in the glow. So this is the complete experience. It's not, super involved. It's not meant to be super involved, and you can kind of just sit in this and maybe, take some quiet time to yourself, breathe, think, meditate. I think it's quite a cool experience. That
kind of reminds me like when you've got like a bubble machine and you're popping all the bubbles as a kid or something like that. It's sort of that experience. Obviously, there won't be the tactile effect of a bubble popping back at you, but maybe there'll be some technology to replicate that. Similar to Disney's Hollow Tile, which we might get to talk about later.
Yes, indeed. So that is Endel, which you can get free in the App Store with in-app purchases for the non-Vision Pro model. Right now, the Vision Pro model is available for free. The next app, it's kind of kinetic and then EO, so Kineo. And this app is a flip book app. And so in this app, and we're actually going to watch the tour so you can see, you can create little animated flip books that will, here, we'll take this full screen, that will work in your Apple Vision Pro. So here you can kind of see there's a sunflower, and you have it, grow up out of the ground or have flower petals. Let's actually just close out of this, and we will go directly into the app. So I'll bring this forward, and what I want to do is on this first page, I'm going to, instead of using my finger and my eyes to select, I'm actually tapping. That is another experience that you can have. So I will select the brush pen and of course green, and we'll start with a little line at the bottom here. And then I will hit plus, and we will add more to it. So once again, here, actually, I think I'll switch back to there we go. And then we'll plus it again, and we will add more, plus one more of the stem, plus, and then we will start to make some petals, like so, and then another petal. And for those of you who are listening, this might be a great time to tune into the video version. But essentially what I'm doing is creating apparently horribly drawn flower petals to kind of, well, and it's starting to make some things disappear, so that's odd. But then once you've done that, you can kind of play it back. So here you can see that we've got, oh, and this is my fault because I've done it as individual layers, but I could actually layer these so that each part is a connection of the last one. So in this case, it almost, maybe it's a firework that comes up out of the ground and then explodes in red light. But you get the idea here. It's just a fun little app to let you, oh, let's check out the gallery. Oh, it's just my gallery. That's too bad. My gallery of fantastic. And you could also, as you can see here, add to what you already have. So you could make some, I'm going to say these are like flames or something. Some flames. Now let's see how that looks. Whoops. Yeah, I don't know what's going on here, but it's abstract and everything is art, so it doesn't matter. And then I could view it just on its own. I can, again, share that out and, try to brag to some folks. Look at what I was able to create in my Apple Vision Pro. This app is also available for free. And so you can get Kineo, flipbook animations in the App Store. It exists on other platforms, and on other platforms there are in-app purchases that give you access to more features, onion skinning and that kind of thing. But here on the Apple Vision Pro, I'm able to play around with it for free. That's kind of just...
And the developer has actually noted, by the way, that it's currently on sale on all the platforms while they work on bringing all the features to Apple Vision Pro. So if this is something you want to try, even not on Vision Pro, on, say, your iPhone or iPad, and also it's got a messages app, so you can take advantage of the things that you've created to send it as a message. It's currently on sale for $199 as the in-app purchase, which is pretty awesome.
Also, I feel like this maybe needs to be a disclosure. I'm going to disclose it just because the developer of this app, I actually used to work with this developer back when I worked at a company called Newsy. I was a anchor and journalist there, and the developer that made this app, he made a proprietary technology that we used at the company that let you use an iPad as a prompter and an iPhone as the scroll wheel for the prompter. And at the time, there was no app in the App Store that could do that. It was an incredible thing where it did local Bluetooth pairing, and it just worked. And it was one of my favorite apps that I had on my phone, even though I couldn't really use it for anything outside of work. But it was just so cool that he was able to create that. So yeah, it was kind of cool many years later to get an email from him saying, hey, I'm releasing an app in the App Store. And I recognized his name. And I thought, isn't that? And then later on in the email, he mentioned that, we had worked together years before. I thought, oh, that's so cool. So congrats to Jeff on the launch for Apple Vision Pro of Kineo. It does exist elsewhere. It could be Kineo, it could be Kineo. Anyway, the point is Kineo in the App Store. All right, this next one's a little involved, so get ready. It is called Synth Riders, and in Synth Riders, you are playing a game that is all about music and rhythm and beats, and you are kind of riding along these tracks that will let you. And yeah, so here's some health and safety things. And by the way, I tried to click agree and continue, and for some reason it wasn't changing. And then I realized that it wasn't changing because they make you scroll all the way to the bottom before you can hit agree and continue. So it says stand or sit facing the direction you wish to play, making sure you have enough room to move. I do. And when you are ready, select continue. If you wish to recenter, I've already recentered, so we're good there. And then I'm going to skip all this because I looked at this earlier, continue, and then here we go. Let's do it. All right. So I think I'm going to bring in, oh no, I guess it doesn't let me. Okay. So it's right in front of me, and I meant to use my hands to, oh dear, I'm hitting the camera there.
The balls that are coming in as the music plays.
Thank you, so Rosemary, for explaining.
In time to the music playing, and Mikah is doing his best to hit them.
It's much easier to do standing up.
Always really tricky. Yeah, if anybody's ever seen or heard of Beat Saber, this is quite similar. And this game is also available on other virtual reality platforms, such as the Oculus Quest. So it's quite an interesting test for those people who've tried both to see which version of this they like more. Obviously, there'll be some underlying changes due to the programming of how they've had to write things to work, for the Quest versus the Apple Vision Pro or similar. But it looks pretty awesome.
God bless Rosemary for explaining all this so I don't have to think and play at the same time.
As a big Beat Saber fan, this is another thing that is just selling me on the Apple Vision Pro. It's so evil.
Which color
so evil, Mikah.
I'm sorry. So I will
watching Mikah play this, by the way, I can just see his arms like moving around. It's kind of like he's flailing in midair for me. It's so much fun because I can also see the screen, but when the screen's not there, you really look ridiculous, Mikah. In a good way. I promise, in a good way.
What's interesting about this is there's one app that I'm not showing today, and that's because it disappointed me and it knows what it did. So when you get the Apple Vision Pro, one of the apps that, I can't remember if it's already installed or if it's just one that they present to you right away, is Fruit Ninja. And Fruit Ninja was giving me second thoughts about having only your hands as the means of interacting with the screen or with whatever game you were playing. It was really bad. It was not finding my hands a lot of the time, and I would absolutely be slicing fruits, and it would not give me points for having sliced fruits. And so I basically gave up because there was a little mini game inside that I ended up playing instead, which was that there's a pig that you can play with. And that experience was great, I will tell you. Let me get out of this. So I was in my living room, and I was, it drops the experience into your living room or wherever you happen to be, obviously. It drops the experience into your environment. And it was putting, little grass tufts on the ground and flowers and everything. But what was so cool is, as I was playing with the pig, you could feed the pig and pet the pig, and you could throw a stick to have it fetch. And it detected different heights of items in my room. So the pig actually jumped from the floor up onto the side table next to my sofa, and then jumped off of my side table back onto the floor to go chase after the stick. And I thought that was so cool. And it kind of saved the game for me in the end, because the game itself was it was not great. And I'm not the only one who's said that. I've heard that from a few people that interaction and experience was just not what was expected. So yeah, it's called Super Fruit Ninja. And it was a little disappointing.
I think this is the difficulty if developers haven't had the chance to actually play with this like long term as a physical headset, where they've been doing everything theoretically, because theoretically this is like this big and this thing over here is 4 times the size. But then if you move the thing that's 4 times the size a bit further away and bring this small thing a bit closer, then that changes with the perspective and so on. And it's so difficult to calculate all of these things. It's really tricky. So hopefully Super Fruit Ninja will improve, because Synth Riders looks pretty darn awesome, Mikah.
Yeah, I was very impressed with it. That is available in Apple Arcade. So if you have an Apple Arcade subscription, you are able to play it. The next app is a fantastic app that gets a shout out, not only for appearing in the Wall Street Journal review of the Apple Vision Pro, but also appearing on a late night television show recently when, as you might imagine, comedians are making fun of the new Apple Vision Pro. They poked a little fun at the Crouton app. Crouton, as Rosemary has talked about in the past, is a recipe management app. And in Crouton, you are able to, in Crouton and Apple Vision Pro, you are, of course, able to see your different recipes. But what's great about this is you can create timers that will appear in your physical surroundings. So let's go to this banana bread, and I will tap start on the recipe. Nope, I looked at the wrong thing. Let me close out of that. I will tap start on the recipe, and it gives a little warning. Hey, you probably don't want to cook while you're wearing this. I do. And so I can see these steps, but watch what happens. I'll tap on the timer, and I will create a timer for 8 minutes and 15 seconds. Doesn't really matter, does it? And I'll tap start, and up pops this timer for step 1 of banana bread. Now, let's say this was for boiling water for the pasta that boiling an egg. It's an egg timer. I could take this, and let's say I had my pot over here. I could put it right there above the pot, and that can then stay there. Now I could create another timer that is for how long the cake needs to stay in the oven. My oven, of course, is over here. That ladder is an oven, just pretend. And now I can look and see, okay, that's that. I can come back to my recipe, do the next step, look over, okay, I've got 7 minutes and 30 seconds till that egg is done. I don't know if you should boil your eggs for 10 minutes. I can't remember how long it is, but
it's about 6 to 8 minutes, Mikah, usually. If you're going for 10 minutes, you might risk running out of water and, covering your kitchen with eggshell, as my mum once did. I don't recommend that, especially when you're wearing a Vision Pro. I feel like the small flying hazards of the eggshell going everywhere, that would be dangerous.
That would not be great. You're absolutely right. So I can look over, okay, good. And then say I go into the oven. Ooh, looks like that needs 5 more minutes in the oven. Now that timer's still running over there. And I'm not going to because I'm sitting in this chair and all of the cameras are focused, but I could literally walk away from this space and come back to this space, and these timers would still be floating right where they are. These timers don't come with me. They stay where they are, which is fantastic in this experience because I want it to stay above that pot that I have there, or the stove ladder that I have over there. And so then I can move back in. I could look at if you've got a meal plan, let's see, these are reminders for groceries. All of this is available in here. And check this out. You can also, if you buy the premium Crouton experience, you can get new recipes delivered right to your app and be able to check those out too. So all of it's just kind of right here in front of me as I need it. And I can even sort of bring this in close, right? So let's say right here, I've got my chopping board, and then I'm just looking over at my recipe. Okay, I got 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I've got this, and I need to get those mashed overripe bananas in there. It's just so stinking clever. I almost did a curse, everybody. I think this is one of the coolest experiences in Apple Vision Pro. I don't care if the late night comedy hosts are joking about it. This is genuinely one of the things that I foresee as, one of those killer experiences for me, in the sense that it helps me kind of keep track of what's going on. We just need to work on sort of the comfort and lightness of the headset that we have strapped to our head for it, to make it something that I would want to do regularly. But I think that's such a cool use of the Apple Vision Pro, and hats off to the Crouton developer. You can download the app for free in the Apple Vision Pro App Store, and if you'd like, from there you can pay the premium subscription to gain access to things like recipes delivered right to your app, etc.
I do have a quick question
please,
for
yes.
you, Mikah. Seeing as you were talking about, you leave the timer on the pasta or on the oven or whatever, and say, you wander off to another room and maybe you're busy playing Synth Riders or something like that. What happens when the timer goes off? Is there a quick tip to jump back to an active app or an app that's, sending a notification in the background or similar, so that you don't have to immediately run back to the other room to find out if it's the pasta or the oven that's going off?
Yeah, let's set a timer for 6 seconds, and I would probably want to hop out of the app. So, see, I'm still in the app, and I think that what would generally happen is that up at the top, if everyone can see, I'm looking up towards the top of the screen and an arrow appears. When I tap on that arrow, it brings up Control Center,
yes.
but it also brings up my notifications. And I have a feeling that notification would appear here and give me the ability to turn off that timer. I don't think I'd have to go running back into the other room to turn off the timer, but I will have to check that whenever I'm off camera to see for sure. That is a great question.
I believe there is a sort of double tap gesture similar to activate a recently active app or something, so that may have something to do with it as well. But I was just curious because I can imagine me wandering around my house setting little timers on things, even using the native clock app of I need to come back to this in 7 minutes, I need to come back to this in 20 minutes and stuff, and then there's just a timer going off and I'm running around my house going, where is the timer? But there's no physical timer to find, it's just in the headset. So I suspect that there's a sneaky trick inside the Vision Pro for finding things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll test that. That's a great question. The last third-party app we're going to talk about today is an app that is well known for having reached TikTok stardom, because it meant customizing your smartphone at the time. It has now come to Apple Vision Pro, and that is Widgetsmith. Widgetsmith is the app that lets you create widgets. And with Widgetsmith, you can add different widgets to your your personalized space. So if you wanted to, you could drag out a time widget. So it says pinch and hold on a widget to configure or delete it. Tap on a widget to launch it into your spatial environment. So we'll tap on that widget. Now I've got a little window that is my time. I can scroll down, and here are some wintry widgets because it's still winter. The date, for example. So I will add that to my experience. And again, we can configure this widget. So maybe instead of snowflakes, I want it to be, in honor of Jason /Apple, we'll do 6 colors, and we'll save that. And then let's add another widget. We could do photo, we could do text, time and locations. We can do the date. Here we go, because I have not done a weather one yet. So let's do the daily icon graph. And there we go. We'll do next, and we'll choose I like adventure. That looks cool. Next, and we will obviously change the location to and by the way, I can take this keyboard, bring it closer to me, and then I can use my finger and tap on it. It doesn't make that sound that I'm making with my tongue, but you don't necessarily have to use your finger, the sort of glance. Well, now I've messed that up. You don't necessarily have to use the glance experience to do the different interactions that you want on the Apple Vision Pro. It supports doing this as well. All right, so then we can bring that into our space. And again, these are individual little kind of app screen windows. Now I could go to Safari or Messages or whatever it happens to be and continue using this while I've got in this space the date and the time, which would have been handy earlier when I was doing the intro for the show. And there's the weather right there as well. And look at that. It grows to be even more of the weather. So my little kind of fun interactive dashboard is over here. And then I can continue doing my work over here and have, music or something else over on the side. And then, pop into the games that we were playing earlier and come right back, and they'll be right here for me. And again, I could then leave this space, go into my office and set up different widgets. And when I come back to this place, these widgets will still be there. I'll have widgets in the other room. So you can kind of start to imagine how this is a location-based experience that lets you kind of create environments all around you, however you need them to, be set up. It's kind of magical at times, despite the different flaws that I've come across. I do think that it is a really powerful and fun, in some cases, experience. So, any questions do you have about Widgetsmith before we move on?
No, unless you've got one super cool widget that you really want to show off, Mikah. But I think other than that, I'm pretty excited. I want a Vision Pro, obviously, but I don't think there's anything in particular that I want to ask, because otherwise I will be attempting to fly to the US and buy one. I don't have enough hours in my weekend to do that, I don't think.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think just the weather app or the weather widget is such a cool one, because it starts out as this kind of small little weather widget, but at any time I can tap that button and suddenly I'm seeing the hourly forecast, the daily forecast, and of course the weather radar for the surrounding area. It's just delightful. Very cool what _David Smith has done with Widgetsmith. Alrighty, folks. Those are some of the coolest, I feel, third-party apps available in the Apple Vision Pro App Store. New apps are being added all the time. We'll continue to check those out as long as we have the device. And once Rosemary gets hers, I'm sure we'll have even more cool apps to talk about later. If you have an Apple Vision Pro, or even if you don't, but you've heard about some apps that you think are well worth talking about, let us know. iOS Today at twit.tv. You can get in touch with us and tell us about the app experiences you are enjoying. All right, it is time to move along to the news. The news is up next. And the first news experience is about the first news story is about the Apple Vision Pro. Once again, this time we are talking about the Apple Vision Pro password. And it turns out that it was not an easy experience for you to reset your password for your Apple Vision Pro. If you put in a password and you forgot your password, you would have to send in the device to Apple. And this is kind of how the Apple Watch used to be. You'd have to send in the device in order for Apple to fix it on their end and get you access to it again by kind of resetting it and restoring it. That didn't last super long, because it turns out that Apple retail employees are reportedly receiving access to a special version of Apple Configurator. That's an application that you as a individual can use, but also that Apple can use. And it lets you make changes to Macs, to iPhones, to iPads, but also will reportedly allow Apple retail employees to reset your Apple Vision Pro headset. So, first and foremost, don't forget your PIN code, your password, make sure you hold on to that. But if you do forget it, it may be the case that by the time you are watching or listening to this, that you will be able to take it to a retail store and have it restored. All right. We talked about Juno for YouTube. I wanted to mention that according to The Verge, who received a statement from a YouTube spokesperson, Google is indeed working on a Vision Pro app. The exact statement is this: "We're excited to see Vision Pro launch, and we're supporting it by ensuring YouTube users have a great experience in Safari. We do not have any specific plans to share at this time, but can confirm that a Vision Pro app is on our roadmap." So, one of the early stories about the Apple Vision Pro, right before it was coming out and then as it was coming out, was that YouTube, Spotify, and Netflix all decided not only to not create apps for Apple Vision Pro, but also did not allow the iPad versions of their apps to run on Apple Vision Pro. So developers are able to essentially tap or click on a toggle that gives you the ability to run iPad apps on the Apple Vision Pro in Windows. And so one example of that is I have a password management app that has an iPad version. I'm able to run that on the Apple Vision Pro. The company didn't need to make a full-on Apple Vision Pro app because the iPad app was just fine based on the way that you would interact with it. YouTube, Spotify, Netflix said, no, we're not going to turn that on. You're not going to be able to use our apps as iPad apps. But apparently, YouTube will eventually allow for a Vision Pro app. So we'll see when that comes, and I'm looking forward to that. But in the meantime, there's always Juno.
Yeah. I have seen some app developers actually saying that they've had some interactions, fortunately good interactions with users who've had weird bugs with the iPad version of an app on Vision Pro. It is important to remember this is first generation hardware and not something that, every developer was able to even try before it was released. And so, some developers are advising caution to other developers who are just going, you can run the iPad app on the Vision Pro, go for it, because it, if they don't have one themselves, then that's a lot of money for them to test something if there is potentially something broken. So don't bash any developers that haven't enabled it, but certainly keep an eye out as things progress and the software gets better, and hopefully we'll see more and more apps coming to Vision Pro soon.
Indeed. And then last but not least, in the news section, I wanted to mention that iFixit has done a teardown of the Apple Vision Pro. So if you've been waiting for the iFixit teardown, it is here. And it is really interesting seeing not only the teardown process, which of course involves a lot of heating and prying in order to take off the top glass over the eyesight view, but also digging into the battery of the Apple Vision Pro, which is a separate connection. I thought it was a fun kind of look at the internal technology that is available inside of the Apple Vision Pro and kind of how involved it is. Plus, there are so many different lightning style connectors that are built into the Apple Vision Pro as well, which I thought was kind of fun. There's not necessarily a whole lot to learn other than, I would say, why eyesight looks so odd. It is, of course, a lenticular display, and it's attempting to make sure that if you're looking from the side or the front or, wherever you happen to be looking, that the eyes kind of render properly. And it's just blurry and strange and dull. And I think I don't know that I've heard anyone who's been impressed by the eyesight view. Everybody's either confused by it, doesn't see it at all really, or is going, well, that doesn't look good. Apparently, though, my eyes look better my eyes look better after I did my second persona creation than they did the first time. In any case, this thing is packed to the brim with incredible engineering and incredible technology. And you can check out our full review of the Apple Vision Pro via Hands on Tech, our other show, Hands on Tech. And you can also watch our early unboxing of the Apple Vision Pro, also via Hands on Tech, which was a fun experience where Leo Laporte and I unboxed the device and talked about it. And I was crawling around on the floor, playing with dinosaurs and looking at F1 vehicles and all sorts of fun stuff. So we'll have lots more content about the Apple Vision Pro going forward. But I think if I look over to the right and I check the time, thanks to this handy widget, I think it's time for us to talk about shortcuts. That's right, folks. It's time for Shortcuts Corner, the part of the show where you write in with your shortcuts requests, and Rosemary Orchard, our shortcuts expert, provides a response. The first Shortcuts Corner request, or the Shortcuts Corner request, comes in from Kevin, who writes, Kevin, hi, friends. Club TWiT supporter here, thank you, and really like the new format of the show. I have a question that I'm guessing may require a shortcut, but maybe not. I just couldn't find an answer. I have a list that I want a reminder to check every morning. I kind of live off of reminders and seldom do anything without one to help my old brain remember to do things. Is there a way to get iOS to remind me to check this list, and even better, open it if I tap in the reminder somewhere? Or maybe Notes has this built in when you create a list of notes. Thanks, Kevin. So a reminder to check reminders.
Yeah, and this is a really good question because there are a whole bunch of different ways that you can actually do this. And it's nice to have a question like this because I can show you a number of different ways to solve it. And I am going to start very, very simply in good old reminders. So I'm just going to use my iOS Today list as an example. So you could just create a reminder, and I'm just going to pop my phone out of dark mode to make it a little easier to see for anybody watching the video. So if I create a reminder that says check reminders, and then I can just tap on the calendar and I'll select tomorrow. And then because I've set the date, I can actually set a time as well, say, for example, at 9 a.m. And I can add, not an early reminder, but there we go. Because I've added the date and the time, I'm now going to get that reminder. And I just need to change the repeat to daily. And then I will get a reminder every day at 9 a.m. to check reminders. Very simple, but then that's another thing that's in reminders, right? And you don't actually necessarily want a reminder in reminders that you need to check reminders. That's kind of overkill. So say I delete that, and I'm deleting all future versions of it, and then I open up Shortcuts, my trusty friend, and I go to the Automations tab in Shortcuts. Now, if I tap on the plus symbol at the top, I can add a time of day shortcut. And so I'm going to change this, and I'm just going to change that to 9 a.m. There we go. And I'm going to have it run daily, but I'm going to change the run after confirmation to run immediately. And I don't want it to notify me when it's run. And then I'm going to create a new blank automation here. And I am going to just have it open the Reminders app. Now, this is, a very simple way of doing things. And if you have your phone open, then it will just open Reminders. Okay, so by the way, there's a very handy action called Open App. There it is. Whoa, found it. And when you select this, then you can have it open Reminders. And that's fine because that's going to open immediately as soon as you as soon as it gets to 9 a.m. But what if your phone's locked? And this is where the trick comes in, because then if you turn on Notify When Run, then when this automation runs, it'll pop up. It'll say, would you like to run your shortcut? And you say, yes. Yes, I would. And then it can open reminders for you. But there is something else that I wanted to show folks as well, because this is a really neat trick that is built into Siri. And I'm just going to open Notes and make sure I've got a new blank note up. Here we go. And so now I have created a note here, and it just says, hello world. Very, very simple. But what I can do is I can trigger Siri, remind me of this at 9 a.m. tomorrow. And by using the magic phrasing, remind me of this at 9 a.m. tomorrow, then it will take whatever is on the screen. And this works for settings. This works. So, for example, if you go into the settings app and you open subscriptions, then you can say, remind me of this once a month. Or on the first of every month. And then it will remind you of the subscription settings area every month. So you can pop in and check, oh, wait, yeah, I subscribed to this app, but I'm not using it. Cancel. And things like that. So you can use Remind Me of This to be reminded of things on your screen. Now, that doesn't work so well in reminders because then it's trying to remind you of a reminder. And that's a little bit fuzzy. But yeah, there's a couple of options. And personally, what I would do is I would actually start similar to what I did here in shortcuts. I was actually create a shortcut and change the name of the shortcut to check reminders. And then I would just have this open the app for reminders and open app. Perfect. So now I can just select that to open the app and I can say open reminders. But if I've done this, okay, I've created a single action shortcut. Cool. Check reminders. Then I can actually delete that original 9 a.m. Daily shortcut that I created, create a new one, which I'm just going to change it to in about 1 minute's time. And then what you do is you select your shortcut that you just created. And then when this goes off, or I just missed it, unfortunately, but because it will then prop up and ask me to confirm, it goes, hey, would you like to check reminders? And then you tap on it and it runs your shortcut. And then you check reminders. Very simple, very effective. You can have it run more than once a day. Now you can even get fancy and go, hey, I'm going to get my reminders. If there aren't any incomplete tasks in reminders, then don't remind me. Or get reminders. If there are incomplete tasks, then send me this reminder. You can get very, very fancy with this. And that's what I like about it. But you can also just keep it very, very simple. So fingers crossed, Kevin, this is going to give you some ideas. And a single action shortcut, and then use the automation to run shortcut with ask for confirmation on is what I would do for this.
Nice. We also received some feedback that folks were having trouble finding show notes for the show. So we wanted to talk about that. First and foremost, if you are using Pocket Casts, there is a known issue where for some reason with private show feeds, so those are those Club TWiT shows where it requires kind of a special key, that is that link that you paste in, or if you go to the Club TWiT website and you tap to subscribe, that's a private show that's private to you, where those show notes will stop appearing for some reason. It is an issue that Pocket Cast is working on. One thing that seems to solve it is if you basically delete the podcast from your Pocket Casts app and resubscribe, that should start to have the show notes presenting again. If you're still not seeing the show notes after that point, then what you need to do is go to Pocket Casts and reach out to their support team. They can help you out some more. Outside of that, we don't have a place online where you are able to find the show notes for the show. Unlike when the shows were in public, where you could go to twit.tv/ios/674 or whatever the episode happened to be and find those show notes. With a show that's Club TWiT exclusive, there's not a website that you go to, so they need to be appearing for you in your podcast's app. So my suggestion to you is that if you continue to not see show notes, reach out. You can reach out iostoday@twit.tv, or you can reach out to me, Mikah at twit.tv. And specifically, this is so important, you have to tell me what app you're using. Tell me what podcasts app you're using, and then we can address it from there. So if you don't tell me what podcast app you're using, I can't help you figure out where your show notes have gone or what's going on. So please tell me that whenever you reach out, and we will get that addressed. So yeah,
I'm just going to quickly show folks, because I have Overcast here. So Overcast, if you're in the list view, you can tap on that info bubble to the right-hand side of any podcast episode, and then you'll be able to see the show notes for it. And then going back from there, if you're in the middle of listening to a podcast, then you can swipe to the right. So going over towards the right, and then you'll be able to see a list of those things that have been talked about in the episode. Similarly, I have Downcast here. And if I tap on the info bubble on the right-hand side in Downcast, yep, you guessed it, folks, I get that shows notes. And then when it's playing, one of the reasons why I love Downcast is it does actually give me the details here on non-video episodes. So this is pretty nice as an option. In Apple Podcasts, the notes are there as well. They are in Pocket Casts. I don't have Pocket Casts installed right now to show you. They should be there.
Yes, in fact, I just checked this the other day. For me, it was showing up. So, because we had somebody reaching out asking about that, and I was able to see it. So, it's not happening to everybody. It's happening to some people, and so it's intermittent. But we'll do our best to get it addressed as best as we can. Because the show notes are important. You want those links.
Yeah, one thing I do want to suggest is you can take your Club TWiT feed for the podcast, okay? And because podcasts are this amazing open source thing where it's RSS, you can put your link into an RSS reader for you, so Net Newswire, for example, and then you won't get the audio in your RSS reader, but you will see all of the links and everything every time they come in, and that can be a really nice way to see all of them and be able to search them as well. So that's one of the things I do. I actually put a lot of my podcasts into Net Newswire so that I can see all of the notes even without listening to the show.
There you go. That's awesome. Folks, that is going to bring us to the end of this episode of iOS Today. Again, you can email us iostoday@twit.tv. Rosemary Orchard, if folks want to follow you online and keep up with what you're doing, where do they go to do that?
The best place to go for all of that is rosemaryorchard.com, which has got links to books, podcasts, apps, etc. that I am involved in around the internet. And of course, there's links to the various social media sites I'm on, but you can always find me hanging out in the Club TWiT Discord during the live shows.
Beautiful.
What about you, Mikah?
You can find me at chihuahua.coffee. That's CHIHUAHUA.coffee, where I've got links to the places I'm most active online. Of course, you can check out on Thursdays Tech News Weekly, where I talk to tech journalists and get the stories of the week. I also can be found on Sundays for Ask the Tech Guys. That is the show that I co-host with Leo Laporte, where we take your questions live on air and do our best to answer them, as well as Hands on Mac in Club TWiT, which you can join by going to twit.tv/clubtwit for $7 a month, $84. Oh, wait, you're Club TWiT members. Never mind. I don't need to mention that. You know what Club TWiT is. Yes, you can watch Hands on Mac. You are our members, and we thank you for being our members. Tell a friend, tell a family member to join Club TWiT. Folks, talk to you later. It's time to say goodbye.